Outlander Cast is brought to you by the Tag You're It Etsy shop. From Outlander-inspired necklaces and rings to custom designs for birthdays or any occasion, every piece is designed by Dawn, one letter at a time, and is one of a kind. Please take the time to visit Dawn at www.tagyourit.biz. That's B-I-Z. Tell her Mary and Blake sent you, and use the coupon code OutlanderCast15 for 15% off your purchase. As always, tag your mama, tag your pet, tag you're it, whatever it is.
I want you to admit the truth to yourself.
What would that be?
That you escaped Fort William, but you did not escape me. Surrender this pride that you hide behind. And admit that even now, you're terrified. Admit it.
Welcome to Outlander Cast with Mary and Blake. It's a podcast dedicated to the show Outlander on Stars.
Sing me a song of a last that is gone, save of that last behind. Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to the sky.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Outlander Cast. I'm your host, Mary Larson.
My name's Blake.
And there is no baby Larson. No baby Larson.
No
yet.
baby Larson quite yet.
Crapola.
And I gotta tell you, I'm a little intimidated to talk about this episode.
Yes, you are.
I am. I'm a little intimidated by it. There's a lot. There's a lot, and it's scary, it's intense, it's serious. I mean, normally we have a lot of fun with this. Normally we make fun of the material and have a good time with it. But I don't know if I can do that.
And if you can, there will be very little of it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have some fun with it, but I'm intimidated. This episode, wow.
I told you, right? I said, hang on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
So this episode...
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Sorry, I had to play it.
Movie. I just love it. So this episode was so intense.
Mm-hmm.
People have been watching it nonstop, responding with tons of different kind of feedbacks. So Blake and I have actually decided that we are going to split this episode into two parts.
Yeah, because everybody wanted to say something about it, and I don't blame them, because it is worthy of our commentary, not just us, but yours as well. And for us to, you know how much we want to participate with you guys and get the listener feedback on our show, but in order for us to really facilitate that and get everybody's word out and something that everybody has legitimately to say, I mean, it would be like a 3-hour episode, to be honest. I mean, the number of voicemails we have, it's insane. Everybody wanted to say something. So we felt it was the best chance for this episode to split it in two. So not only will we have this episode, but I'd say maybe depending on if Baby Larson decides to show up, what do you think, kid? Like a week from now, maybe?
Blake, I'm probably going to be in labor in a day. I have no idea. Guys, we're going to try to get this second episode out as soon as possible.
Correct.
Blake has no idea what my body's going through right now.
I saw that video I put up on Facebook.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the video, Blake did put up a video this morning. We went out for pancakes, which is a mile away. Thought I could handle it. It took me an hour to walk home. And Blake was like, wow, you walk so funny. I need to take a video of this. And so we talked about how I walk like a really funny person right now, especially while I'm having contractions. And Blake was like, yeah, but we can't have the baby because we need to record.
Let's put it in perspective. The guy that just won the Boston Marathon ran the marathon in 2 hours and 20 minutes. And you walked a mile in an hour. What?
You are really rude. Do you know that I'm having contractions because of your child?
What? No. I'm just saying. I'm putting it into perspective. I think it's hysterical. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna get those shock things. Whatever those try guys had that was going around the web about trying to feel what labor was like. I'm gonna find those and make you walk a mile.
Well, listen. If you guys want to watch that video, we're gonna have it on we'll probably put it on the website for this particular episode on OutlanderCast.com. Yeah, I think I'll definitely do that. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch.
Yep.
Why not, right?
All right, so we are going to still have the tweet of the week and the Kendra thought of the week. But before we get into all this, Blake.
Yep.
What kilt rating would you give this episode?
Oh, I'm giving this episode 4.8 kilts.
Why? What's up with these points? Why don't you just give it 5?
No, I can't give it 5 because it's not the best hour of television I've ever seen. It's just not.
Okay.
It's not. So 5 is reserved for that show-stopping moment, like life-stopping television, like moments. Okay. And while it was extremely close. I'll even throw a shot of whiskey in there too. So 4.8 and a shot of whiskey for this episode.
Well, I'm going to be a normal person, and I'm going to give it 5.
Listen, if somebody wants to give it 5, I've got no problem. If they believe that it's 5 kilts,
yes,
I got no problem with that. To me, this, and I've said this before, this isn't the Lost finale. This isn't Ozymandias. This isn't that kind of show. This isn't like Guest in The Leftovers. It wasn't.
I disagree, but okay.
I mean, it was very close.
We can still be.
Yeah, no, yeah, I respect the 5. I respect it. I applaud that. But it was
4.8. You know what? For that to come out of you,
yeah,
that's a 5 to the rest of the world. So we'll take it.
It's on a sliding scale.
Yeah. That's Blake's version of 5. So
I mean, we went from a 2.5 or 2.75 to now 4.8. That's a huge jump.
That's huge. Exactly. So a lot of people weighed in with their kilt ratings. Susan Cly at Liebeck said 5 kilts. Very well acted and well done, but I am worried about how much is still left to cover in the last episode of this season.
Is there a lot left?
Yup.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. I can't ask. And it's actually part of my Outlandish theory of the week, so I can't get into it.
Okay.
Connie Stanlin says 1,000 kilts. Connie, love you, but we don't have 1,000 kilt scale. I think it's great. I applaud the 1,000 kilts, but a little too much. Because we only get 5 kilts. That's the rating scale. I'm sorry. I'm not being rude.
She loved it that much.
She did love it that much. I'm proud of you. Sherlyn Taliktak said, Anna Forster did a fine job, and the writing to TV is excellent. 5 kilts and a mallet to crush BJR, and all the whiskey in the world to numb us all to sleep.
God, we need that whiskey. I need that whiskey. Gosh. Mariba on Instagram said 5 kilts to be sure. The acting of Sam, Kat, and Tobias is superb. I admit I watched it from behind a pillow and through my fingers after a shot or 2 of whiskey, but the rawness of emotion was not lost on me. And Jamie's lone tear was my undoing. Rewatch, maybe after stress reduction protocol. So Mariba, I'm right there with you. That was a really tough scene to watch. Tough episode.
Before we get into the recap, because we're about to get into it, I've been thinking about the search through the lens of Wentworth Prison.
Okay.
And I'm even more pissed off about that episode now.
Oh, stop.
Because no, seriously, a bunch of people were saying, well, once you see Wentworth Prison, it's going to make sense.
It makes up for it.
It. But I'm even more pissed off by it now because it didn't make up for it. And I'm sure it's going to get a lot worse in the next episode, which is happening 2 weeks from the day that
May
this
30th.
So May 30th, okay? So just so you're all clear, they're going to have a break in between this episode and the finale.
And I better have a baby by May 30th, or else I'm going to be cranky.
Well, like I said, this episode was extremely serious. And not serious isn't even the word. I mean, intense, vile, just unnerving. And we're going to build up the tension to this by having a song and dance? I mean, what are we doing? Honestly, I mean, maybe it is an affectation of the story that was provided by Diana herself. And again, bless yourself if you have to, because I'm saying this, and maybe I'm the only person in the world that will come out and say it. But through the lens of Wentworth Prison, that last episode was full of crap. There's no tension. There's too much in this episode to waste time with song and dance.
Well, let's talk about this episode then.
All right, let's
jump in.
All right, let's do
4.8/5.
I added a shot of whiskey in there.
I'm really proud of you. right, fun facts. Tell me about this episode, Blake. Who's the who?
Directed by our girl Anna Forster,
Yes,
which, by the
sir.
way, we can announce now that we will be having her on to talk about this episode and the finale as well, because she directed that episode as well. I'd probably say, later on in the middle of the break, I'd imagine, depending on how well things go with Baby Larson. But we will be having her on again to talk about these episodes, and written by Ira Stephen Bear. Now, if you don't know him, he's actually kind of a big deal. He was on DS9 with Ron Moore. He did the show Alphas. He wrote on Star Trek TNG. I mean, this guy has got some writing chops. And to have him come on this show and write this episode, and actually I think contribute to the next episode, it's a real steal by Outlander to have this guy and to have Anna. I mean, she's moving on to a lot of great things and really talented people.
They are. So this, of course, episode starts off with the title over some really creepy torture stuff with that like Hannibal-looking mask.
Oh, that was great.
And I just felt like it stayed on this creepy torture stuff for really long. And I thought, I don't remember reading about all those things.
Well, I'll tell you this. I had a conversation with Kendra, as a matter of fact, on Twitter about this. I was a little disappointed by this little snippet of scene, the opening scene, and not because it wasn't cool. It was great, right? It was awesome. It was foreboding. It was scary. It got you into the mood of what was going to happen, but it never paid off. None of that stuff was ever used in the episode. I mean, a mallet was used, but they always have something that directly relates to that opening snippet in every episode.
Well, think about like the watch, for example. It physically was a watch. We didn't see...
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
Taryn pulled out the watch.
yes. Well, I think you were just supposed to understand that these people get tortured. And truth be told, Jamie probably would have liked to have any of those things touch his body instead of he having to touch.
No, I don't think
Jack
he wanted
Randall.
those things to touch.
I think Jamie would have taken those scissors, that Hannibal Lecter mask, all of that stuff over having to touch little Jack Randall.
I don't
LJR.
know. That
Jamie would cut off his hand instead of having to.
he might as well cut off his hand now.
Well, it's not really of use. So, I mean, that's it. To us, we see that and we see a tortured soul. Jamie, obviously, in this episode is able to show that physically he can take on a lot. I mean, we've already known that about him.
Mm-hmm.
So, we start off actually in the hanging garden, for lack of a better word, the gallows, I guess,
okay.
is where it happens. Well, the prisoners are just lined up, hanging out, waiting to get hung. And Macquarie is there talking with Jamie. And I made actually like this big emoji thing describing the episode in all emojis.
I'll put this on the website too.
They talked about, hanging and how it's going to suck and how people poop themselves when they hang and how that's really not so fun at all. And they, Jamie and he go back and forth about, well, maybe we should not just go quietly. Maybe we'll give it a fighting chance. Macquarie's like, it's all right, man. I got this. So as Macquarie's going up, he's telling Jamie, my one last regret is that I have to climb the steps to see St. Peter before you. Mm-hmm. But then Macquarie's like, oh, actually, you know what my other regret is?
Hey, I got his last words right here.
To think my last view of the world will be a bunch of ill-formed, pasty-faced Englishmen. My only regret is that I wasted my life as a common thief rather than a patriot serving my country fighting against you lot. To the devil with England and God bless King!
Oh man. That sound was brutal.
That was, but I was loving him. And I loved the shots of these red coats because these red coats are probably like 14, 15 years old.
Mm-hmm, that's what it seems like, at least.
Yeah, that's just their job. It's like the beginner. It's pretty much like the Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
We're sent there as like part of their volunteer duty. Oh, you have to go stand hanging duty. Mm-hmm. And here he is calling them nasty names, saying, I wish I just spent my life trying to kill you people. They just looked so young and scared. Mm-hmm. But really young was what stood out to me. And I thought, this is how it must have been. This is kind of like the easy duty. You've got a bajillion guys here with guns, and really your job is the dirty, nasty job.
Well, there's a couple of things about this opening sequence, which I thought was a perfect way to open up this episode. Because it it gave you the foreshadowing that this was going to be serious business here. And just the way that these soldiers are just pushing these guys off of this stand. So
yeah,
that
not even like, what are your last words? You know, you usually see these grand gestures of, what are your last words? You know, Macquarie stuck his in. But yeah, I mean, that guy right before him.
Just boom, pushed them by, and that's the sound of the neck snapping. And again, and I've said this multiple times before, I'm going to say it again, this show always rushes things. I don't know why. Maybe they're so inclined.
It's a big book.
Well, maybe they're just inclined to, yeah, you're right, get to the next thing and make it obvious for the viewer and show them exactly what they want to tell. But thank you to Anna Forster for taking her time and her patience with this episode, with the conversation between Jamie and Macquarie, and Jamie still plotting to fight the British, you know, saying, hey, if you grab his chain, you put it around his neck, you should grab his musket, we'll fight out. And he's going to say, no, we're going to get shot like dogs. Jamie's always fighting and allowing that to come out. Throughout this whole episode, Jamie fights. We'll get into that more. And he never, ever, ever gives up until obviously what happens with Claire. But the thing that I really like about this episode is that Macquarie is talking about wanting his neck snapped, so it ends, and he's saying how he's afraid of that actually. But if he's gonna go, he's gonna go his way, and it never happens. He just sits there swinging, and the British have to choke him out essentially. Before, of course, he's talking about how he doesn't want the British to see it. So he says to them, the one regret I have for all of you is I wasn't a patriot. And how ironic that this guy was just a criminal, essentially, and now he's talking about being a patriot when it finally comes to his moment of death and saying, I wish I was smart enough to turn around and fight you guys because you're all just a bunch of dinks, essentially, right? Yeah. And he gets pushed over. He doesn't choke out. He doesn't get his neck snapped. He chokes out. The British have to hold his legs down to kill him, and he's just suffering. And the way that I'm looking at this is this indicative of the rebellion, the Jacobite rebellion? You know, he's saying, I wish I was a patriot to fight against you people. And we all know what happens to the Jacobites. We all know that they fail. We all know that the British just snuff them out, essentially, right? I mean, for all intents and purposes, they snuff them out. And is this also indicative of the Scots' way of life after the Jacobite rebellion? The English choking them out.
And saying, everything. I wish.
Yeah, I wish I was strong enough to fight you, but I'm just not. And then failing and losing and then suffering as a result of it. I thought that was indicative of the entire situation that Jamie is going to end up facing, at least in my opinion. You know, he fell out and that's it.
Whew. Well, you know what's crazy? As a book reader, you're watching this and you know that Jamie is not hung. Jamie doesn't necessarily die by being hung. And you're really confused. You're confused watching this. And then he gets pulled up and brought up to the gallows. Mm-hmm. And you really don't know where they're going with it. And I loved it. Because so much of this was from the book. Mm-hmm. And so much of, in general, Outlander is from the book. And I loved that we were in suspense together. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, I can be your hero, baby.
I'm not sure if that...
Jack Randall rides up on his Grand Stallion, ponytail blowing in the wind. Okay? Had this been a different story, you would have been like, yay, just in time. It's okay. He saved the day.
Not this time.
But instead, of course, Jack Randall says, stop the executions. And you look at Jamie's face and he's basically saying, holy shit, hurry up with the noose.
Yeah, please.
Oh my, I take it back. I'm sorry I punched you. I'm sorry I tried to please. Oh, no, don't. No, I will step. You don't even have to push.
No, I'll just put it on there. I'll run.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
And instead, Jamie is taken away to a pretty spacious prison cell.
Well, before we do this,
Yeah.
before we get into that, how does BJR find out about Jamie Fraser being at Wentworth? Is it just word of mouth?
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
and more importantly, what gives him the authority to stop the proceeding?
Because he's a captain.
I know, but
and
I
these
feel
guys
like,
are like 14 years old.
I know, but I just feel like that there's probably someone that's more in higher command.
Not
at Wentworth
that's
Prison.
outside right now. I mean, you got to see that courtyard. It was all 15-year-old boys.
Yep.
They said, do what you need to do. And here comes Captain Blackjack Randall, who, even people who are high rank with him, they kind of cower often because this guy speaks with authority. You know how that is when you're like hanging out with your equal level person and then they talk down and they talk very stern and you think, oh, are they right?
Yeah.
And you second guess yourself.
Sure.
That's what Jack Randall's really good at. He's very, very comfortable asserting himself, as we get to see in this episode. But when he rolled in, all those 14-year-old boys in their very nicely clean red coats that their moms washed that day. And he says, stop the executions. This guy's coming with me. They don't care. Okay, one less person for us to hang. And he's going with Captain Blackjack Randall. All right.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Bye.
And here we go, too. As Jamie is walking by BJR, we have this great, amazing slow-mo shot of Tobias Menzies looking down on Jamie, just ready to start, just preparing himself to impose his will.
And I was saying this a lot during the episode that Tobias does these little amazing like tongue flicks. It reminds me of Voldemort, actually, and Harry Potter.
You're a wizard, Harry.
But I don't even know when Tobias decided to come up with these tongue flicks, and he uses his tongue, of course, a lot.
Oh yeah,
but
he has a lot of just oral tics.
Yes, almost like a little smirk, and they even slow motioned on Jamie's face as well. This utter terror. And one thing that I forgot to mention is I loved when Jamie said that his wife will never forgive him about letting himself be hung.
Yeah,
like because he's sitting there and he's like, oh man, Claire totally didn't want me to join the watch.
I'm a dumbass.
She's gonna be really mad. Now I went and got myself hung.
Well, maybe is it? I know. Of course I don't know because I've never been in a death experience. But a lot of the time, people say, I guess, that before you die, especially in a way that's like hanging or drowning or fire, like you're almost embarrassed by it. You're almost like I remember reading A Perfect Storm, and the author of the book, I forget the name of the author, and somebody, you will probably kill me for that, and I apologize, especially because it's about people from Boston. But they talked about the whole sequence of them drowning in the ship, potentially, and what it would be like. And then the emotion behind it was like, oh man, I can't believe I'm going to drown. Like, oh, I have like Red Sox tickets, 2 weeks from now. They're going to go to waste. What is my family going to say about me drowning? Or, and is Jamie going through that by thinking about Claire in a way, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I was cracking jokes when I thought I was dying during childbirth.
Don't even bring that up. Really don't even bring it up because I don't even want to get in that mental place.
Remember, I was mad because I was like, I didn't even get to eat. That's what I said. All of my machines were going off. They were throwing oxygen on me. Couldn't find the baby's heart rate. And I go, I'm hungry. I didn't even get to eat. Yeah, maybe you go to some weird place.
Yeah.
Maybe that was Jamie's weird place.
And as Jamie is walking by...
How romantic is he? He talks about his wife. I talk about not getting my crackers.
I know, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you were right next to me.
Yeah, still. But again, as we get into Jamie's mental place of what his embarrassment possibly or what his love of Claire is, we have BJR looking down on Jamie as he's walking by. What do you think is going on in BJR's head? Like, what do you think?
Winner, chicken dinner. No, he's thinking, I can be your hero, baby. He's like, oh yeah, I rolled up right in time. Look at me, my ponytail.
But he just has this look.
I got you.
It's
the cat and mouse. He caught the mouse. The mouse is right there.
Okay.
It is. I got you.
Do you think he knows what he's going to do, or is it just one of those things that it's? He talked about coarse passion later on in the episode. He didn't want to give in to coarse passion. is he just going by the seat of his pants, or is he prepared? Has he been waiting? Has he been waiting for this moment? And has he pictured it, do you think? Ever since Jamie has come back into his life?
I would say yes. And also that's because I'm like Team Jamie, and that's what Jamie says to him. That's like Jamie's big emotional slap. No, you wake up thinking about me. Mm-hmm. And I think Blackjack Randall definitely is super pumped, thinks he can break Jamie. This is his goal. Mm-hmm. This is the ultimate prize right here. So, to woo Jamie gets a really nice big cell and gets some food. And the guys that drop him off say, hey, buddy, you got it good. I don't know what you did, but Blackjack Randall, he's taking care of you. And we then cut to Claire. Now, how much time do you want to spend on Claire?
Look, the Claire stuff is good. With her with Murtaugh, especially as she comes out of the prison and she is so in shock as a result of the conversation that she had with Sir Fletcher, the head of the prison, that she pukes, and she's at a low point. And Murtaugh coming in and picking her up and saying, it's okay, we're gonna take care of this. And
yeah, there were some very special, precious moments with her. I think it stinks because it stinks that this had to be in the same part of all of the stuff that happens down in that jail cell. Yeah. Because to me, there are very few things that stand out to me in Claire's journey. And maybe that's because I'm a book reader. And I'm like, I already know this. Show me the stuff I didn't see.
Well, I'll tell you, as a show watcher, too, like I said, Claire's stuff was good. It was good to have a break. And me, I'm the kind of person that I want to see the tension all the time. Like I wanted more of Jamie versus Blackjack Randall. I wanted more of it.
Well,
I didn't want to take my eyes off of it. Like X-Men, the latest X-Men. I only wanted to see Michael Fassbender as Magneto all the time because in him interact with James McAvoy's Professor X. I didn't care about any of the other crap. So
people would have a heart attack if this is all they saw was Blackjack Randall and Jamie.
I know. So let's just say for the sake of argument that you do have that you do have all of Blackjack Randall and Jamie. And maybe I do get my wish of just them two sitting in this cell and going back and forth, which was absolutely brilliant. But then it's almost an embarrassment of riches. You almost become numb to it. You have to get out of the cell. You do. When they were talking about making Iron Man, you had to get out of the cave. Tony Stark had to get out of the cave. Same thing. You have to get out of the cell in order to appreciate what's happening in the cell.
Well, since, we're talking about Claire, I thought one of the most precious moments was, of course, girlfriend did a very good job trying to fake, oh, yes, I'm a very high-class, well-born woman. Please help me out. But when she got the box of Jamie's possessions.
Oh, yeah.
And inside that, of course, was the snake that his brother had carved him and his je sais plus,
the brooch.
The brooch.
Yep.
And then there's also some fishing. There's some things in there that you don't know, but that's okay. But book readers saw it and we went, oh. So that really was so sweet. And then, as you said, she comes out to Murtaugh and is so overwhelmed by sadness that throws up, and then he carries her.
How about Sir Fletcher saying to Claire that he knew that she was a Christian as soon as she walked in? Like she was smart enough to see the Bible on his desk, saying that it was her Christian duty to visit Jamie. And he says, "Oh, I could tell you were a Christian right away," even though that she isn't like a real religious person. Mm-hmm. We already know that. So how full of crap is this guy? He's just being wooed by this English woman who really has done this a lot. I mean, she did this with Lord Farquaad on the Plastics.
Yeah.
Now she's doing it with this jabroni.
Well, she's gotten really good at lying, and she was spending all that time lying before, all that time when she was with Murtaugh, pretending to be a fortune teller. Mm-hmm. So,
and how about that scene, too, when she's gripping that box that you mentioned? And I didn't think much of it, but she's gripping that body. Like they lingered on that shot for a little bit. And I can't wait to ask Anna about this shot because it was there for a purpose.
You got to see her wedding ring.
Yeah, you got to see the ring, but it focused on the grip. And I thought it was really special because maybe she's thinking, this is all I have left of Jamie. This is everything that there is of him. And I may not ever see this person again.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is. I mean, many people are fortunate enough where their loved ones who pass, they get to say goodbye at a wake. They have a whole casket. But oftentimes they don't get that. Mm-hmm. And they do just get small little things. I mean, some people just get dog tags, you know? Mm-hmm. And this is what she had left of Jamie. Mm-hmm. And she was just told, I'm sorry, he's going to die. No, you can't see him.
And that's it, yeah.
Here you go.
You can't even write a letter. You can't do nothing. That's the end of it. And you know, give credit to Claire for trying to show up to this place and do the right, because I anticipated them just storming the castle outright, which probably wouldn't have been smart.
Wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't have worked. Well, I mean, they did storm Fort William, you know, with 3 guys with empty guns. And that worked.
But as it's a very different establishment. Mm-hmm. Very, very. And someone even said that Fort William was to keep people out.
Yeah.
And the prison, of course,
is meant to keep people in. Yeah, I think that was Murtaugh that said that.
Oh,
yeah.
So creepy. So creepy. So Claire and Murtaugh go back down to town and they see Rupert and Angus playing pretty much like a Scottish version of Yahtzee. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I wanted them to be
sixes.
like, Yahtzee! I didn't understand what was going on. But you come to find out that the guys have been drinking and playing games with 2 Wentworth prison guards who let Claire and Murtaugh in on the little secret that, hey, you know that guy you were just talking to? Well, he is away from his office for an hour. An hour each day. So get your butts back there. Go.
Go. Is that enough? Isn't that enough for you?
That is enough time for you to find Jamie, guys.
And I love how Murtaugh called Angus and Rupert donkeys. Like, you know what I want to start doing from now on? I want to start calling people donkeys from now on.
Please do.
I just love that term.
Just don't call it me yet.
I'm not going to call you a donkey.
You can't call me anything.
I can't. She said to me earlier today, well, as she was laboring in that video, after the video, she's like, listen, no matter what I say
for the next few
days, maybe the week, just agree with me. Even if you know I'm wrong, even if I'm treating you like crap, just say, you know what, honey, you're right. No problem. And unfortunately, I've had to do that now at least 4 or 5 times.
And it's a really good thing you have.
I know, it's because I'm awesome. Because I love you.
So they go inside the jail, and Claire, of course, has this lie that she and, you know, Mr. Fletcher, our evil Sir Fletcher. I'm calling him Mr.
Mr.'s fine, too.
I don't really feel like he's that good of a sir. That Sir Fletcher had said she could write Jamie a letter. She's lying, of course, and they're able to get in.
Are we just going to talk about the Claire stuff right now?
Yeah, I just want to get this Claire stuff done.
Okay, we'll get the Claire stuff done.
Because it's all in the same room, you know.
Yep.
And the guy kind of believes her. She then throws him for a loop and says, why don't you take a seat? Makes him feel really uncomfortable. And he leaves.
A smart plan by her, by the way.
Oh, so smart. But then she and Murtaugh are like, okay, look for keys in a map. And I sat there thinking, why would the guy, if he's worked here for years,
have a map?
Yeah.
It's not like they have visitors. It's not like a visitor center. You know?
I was picturing actually like a valet key station, like Jamie Fraser, room 115. Here's the key. Redhead, you know, like how you have like the Volvo sign or whatever.
Yeah.
So
strapping young.
I was picturing a valet key station. That's what I was thinking about. Because aside from that, no, you wouldn't have a map. At least I wouldn't, unless it was like a popular tourist stop. So they do somehow find the keys, and the guy comes back. They knock him out, and Claire says, "I got this." By Murtaugh. What? I mean, that's what happened in the books, but why?
Well, her reasoning, I think, is sound. Well, I mean, relatively, I think.
I'm English, and if people question me, I'll be less questioned without you.
Yeah, exactly. And if they catch me, I'll just say that you got in a fight with the guy upstairs. and I left. Or if you get caught, you're getting me a gift.
I just get nervous because Claire is not a ninja. She did not learn the ways from Ian.
No, she did not.
And so, and she's going around to these cells full of 40, 50 guys.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie Fraser, are you here, Jamie?
Yelling.
And you know what they reminded me of?
What?
Zombies. They reminded me
yeah.
of zombies from The Walking Dead. And I got really, really nervous because I thought, girlfriend, shut up.
What are you doing? Just yelling this person's name.
Just whisper his name once. And he'll it's Jamie. He's going to listen and hear you calling for him. You don't want to get these outlaws, these murderers, these creepy men riled up.
Yeah, and not only that, but now you're in these prison cells and you're screaming this person's name out. Your excuse of running downstairs because some guys got into a fight is now no longer valid. So if you yell and these guards hear you, you're screwed.
Yeah, there goes your alibi. But, on the other hand, she knows she only has an hour. Girlfriend's got to work fast, has to be efficient. She doesn't have a flashlight. She doesn't have, what I would have wanted?
And she doesn't know that BJR is there, by the way.
Oh, no.
So she's not afraid of him necessarily as she's screaming Jamie's name.
She just thinks that Jamie's with the rest of the watch guys.
Yes, correct.
So exactly. She goes, and thank God for that old Dumbledore-looking man who says, oh, the guy that you're talking about sounds really nice and well-to-do, so he would be downstairs in the more, astute suites, probably with his own corner to pee in.
Where those people are too good to spend time, to be up here with us.
Yeah.
They're too good for hanging.
So that's how she starts to make her way downstairs.
And then eventually she gets to Jamie. Now, do you want to save this for?
Yeah, we'll come
later
back
on.
to this.
We'll come back to that.
But that's the whole Claire walking around the Wentworth Prison by herself bit. Do you feel good with that?
I feel good with that, and then now we'll go.
So Marley,
straight
this
on.
bodyguard. Wow, he was like Frankenstein. One scary looking man, let me tell you. BJR comes in, totally shocks Jamie, and then takes it even further and says, "Oh, hey, guess what I heard? You were trying to tattletale on me." Wow, that would have really worked well, except the Duke of Sandringham talks and drinks. And what's this? Oh, a letter.
Well, actually, before he does that, he actually quotes Sir Thomas Malory, actually from the La Mort d'Arthur, which is the death of Arthur. And he says, "Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone and anvil is the right wise king born of England."
Oh, yeah. It's when Jamie was trying to get out of his chains.
Yeah, he
Bless
just
his
can't do
heart.
it, which means, and the context, the subcontext here is great because he's talking about Jamie, who's just a commoner, trying to pull the sword or chains out of the stone, meaning that he would be worthy to do so, and he is not worthy to just escape or pull the sword out on his own. He is incapable of having greatness in him, like Jack Randall. He is saying that, in my opinion, he's saying that I could do this, but you cannot. And I like how he is, they gave him this air of education almost.
Oh, yeah.
And even the fact that they referred to him as Esquire, those two guys earlier in the episode. They're really giving Blackjack this air of education and I don't want to say arrogance, but just general, maybe pompousness, thinking that he is above Jamie. Who the hell quotes La Mort d'Arthur? Really?
BJR, man.
It's just BJR's way, I guess.
It is.
But really cool stuff that Jamie is not the commoner that Arthur was. He does not have that greatness in him.
Once again, this is just BJR squishing Jamie emotionally.
Needling him.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. You're trying to do something valiant. You think you're special.
Yeah,
You're
but
not.
how great is that too? Because Jamie, again, another example of Jamie fighting, doing whatever he can to get out. Everything that's possible within his means. He's pulling on this thing for hours. God knows how long. All to no avail.
Well, especially in this episode, I wouldn't have been surprised if he could do it. Mm-hmm. Because you really get to see his strength when he attacks those soldiers out at the gallows, and even what he does later on in this episode, to Marley and everybody. It's unbelievable the strength that a prison bound Jamie Fraser has. And we've got to see him fight many men before. So he's a really strong guy. So part of me was thinking, oh, maybe he can do it. Maybe you are King Arthur. You can do it, Jamie. You can do it. Oh, no.
Guess not.
BJR's here. So he burns that petition of complaint.
And he's quite pleased with himself, by the way. Did you notice that BJR is quite pleased with how the situation has prevailed, how he has gotten this letter of complaint, and he now is burning it and saying, this would have been bad. Ooh, what a total blackening of my character. And is he saying? Obviously, he's saying that in jest. Obviously, or is he saying that?
No,
in jest?
he's not. I think he's being honest with Jamie. I think he's like, "Wow, this was a real close call. I would have gotten in major trouble."
Do you really think that he believes it would be a blackening of his character,
Yes.
or is he already aware of how off he is?
He knows how off he is, but he has people protecting him, and word doesn't get around. But if the Duke of Sandringham came out and wrote this about him,
Okay.
it'd be a really credible source.
All right. I see what you're getting at
I think
now.
it would have really messed him up.
Okay.
I think he was complete. I think the happiness wasn't him thinking, "Oh, this might not have worked." I think the happiness was, "I'm going to burn this in front of Jamie Fraser's eyes to help break him even more."
And he's goading him even further by saying, you just couldn't stay out of prison long enough. You couldn't do it, could you? You had to go do something stupid. Of course that's who you are. Of course that's what you've done.
He does weird tongue things again in the same area when he's burning.
I literally cannot say enough. I cannot thrust any more praise onto Tobias Menzies.
It's like his mouth is a separate actor.
It is.
It really, you focus so much. Think about the things that he did, with Jenny with his mouth. And then later in this episode when he licks Jamie's scars, like Tobias just says, I am going to act with every centimeter of my body, every single millimeter. And I love it.
Everything that I have, I'm going to bring it on. And we've all talked about Emmys for this show. And I can honestly say Tobias Menzies has thrown his name into this conversation. And now
put your name in the goblet of fire.
I can't believe you did that again. Sorry, I was so shocked by that.
You're a wizard, Harry.
It took me a long time to find the sound. He has officially thrown his name into the conversation. And maybe he's even has more stuff coming along with the next episode, which I'm sure he does. But wow, just masterful. And to get into that mindset, to get into that place, that
crazy, powerful.
To get into the time where he is just going to impose his will whenever, however he feels like he's doing it. Like when they eventually run into Claire, and he just takes his finger and he wipes her mustache area, like right above her lip, her upper lip. And he's like, "Oh, sweat of exertion," Like, I wonder if that was scripted.
All I know, I keep thinking about Anna Forrester and how she said he really gets into character. Like
Don't be around him.
If he's frank, go hang out.
Yep,
great.
talk, have
if he's
fun.
in BJR mode, he is in BJR mode, and I would not want to be like a grip boy or a craft table person. I would not want to be anyone on set on this day.
And listen,
these days of filming.
Kat was great. She was great. And Sam was great as well. But Tobias Menzies took this to a whole nother level. In fact, I'm going to come out there. A hot take for you right here. Ready? A hot take. He's my favorite villain on television right now. And he is approaching favorite villain of all time.
Wow.
Like he is right there.
Wow.
In the people.
Who's he up there with?
He's up there with Walter White.
Okay.
He's up there with Ben Linus.
Okay.
He's up there with Hannibal Lecter. These guys, and the great thing about all those guys was that they weren't just caricatures. Tobias Menzies in the character of Blackjack Randall really had the chance of turning into a caricature. It really had the opportunity to be something that was just laughable. Like, how can you get to that point? It was just, I'm going to... I mean, I don't know. It really had the opportunity to just flop, in my opinion.
What I think you're trying to get at is that Tobias was able to take a scary, sadistic character and make him a nightmare-worthy person.
Yeah, but it's
truly
not,
to haunt, like like what we're talking about, these little extra things.
Yep.
That it's not just the words, it's not just the action. I'm going to nail your hand. Mm-hmm. But it's these extra pauses that I'm going to take.
Yeah, patience. Patience. I cannot stress this enough. Patience.
Let this character breathe because the silence is scary.
Yeah, silence is scary. Really. It's uncomfortable. It's nasty. It's gruesome.
Even a line like he says, "May I call you Jamie?"
Yeah.
Okay, he's able to take a line like that and make it creepy.
I know, and okay, here we go with this. Talking about the Duke of Sandringham, saying, he likes to talk, and word got around, and we spoke. Now, if you're just a regular jamoke like me, and I said something like that, you'd be like, oh, he had a conversation with the Duke of Sandringham. But when he says it, we spoke. What does he mean by that? Did he just have a conversation? Did he do the same exact thing to the Duke of Sandringham that he's doing to Jamie? Did he torture this guy? Did he say, what the F are you thinking? What are you doing? And did he give him a beating?
I'm not going to say.
Oh, but I'm not saying that he did or he didn't.
But I agree. It's his delivery. Like if I were BJR, I wouldn't be him. But see, I had a document about someone that could have really got me in trouble, and I don't like this person because I want to see them suffer. I would have come in and been like, guess what? I got the letter. I would have just rubbed it in their face and be like, oh, and now it's burned. And instead, he did it so matter-of-factly, but with a little touch of glee.
Correct.
And it was slowly paced.
Correct. And I already mentioned Walter White and Hannibal Lecter. The beautiful thing about those characters were that they weren't just evil for evil's sake. Ben Linus was smart. He had a lot of bad stuff. If you ever watched Lost, he had a lot of bad stuff that made him who he is. He had a lot of repressed crap. And I think the same thing of BJR. BJR has a lot of repressed issues, whether it's daddy issues, sexual issues. I don't know what the hell they are. And I can't even fathom to get into that mindset. But there's issues there that are scary. And he's evil for a reason. And that's why Walter White, Ben Linus, Hannibal Lecter, that's why they succeeded. Because they took their time. And there was more behind what they were than what they were.
And these characters truly do, as I say, become nightmare worthy. And they have that quote about haunting dreams.
Do I haunt your dreams since Fort William? When you awaken in the middle of the night, shaken and sweating, is it my face you see looming in the darkness? Tell me, when you lie upon your wife and her hands trace the scars on your back, do you ever think of me? And soften.
I don't know if Jamie thinks about you, but I can sure tell you that book readers have been thinking about him. And now anyone who's watched this episode awakens in the middle of the night.
I wanted this to just speak for itself. I didn't want anything that I say belittle what they did or what Tobias Menzies did in that scene. I kept thinking during this cell while they were there together, I kept thinking, oddly enough, about Silence of the Lambs. There was this really haunting, like, wind sound that was played during the Silence of the Lambs and the conversations between Clarice and Hannibal Lecter, and that same exact sound was played in this episode. And I remember the conversation we had right after the episode, where you're like, oh, I kind of wanted more, like, Bear McCreary kind of let me down a little bit in this episode. I'm not sure if I can disagree anymore, because it's not Bear's work that makes this work. It's the nothingness that makes this work. It's the silence. Because as we said, the silence itself, the time that it takes is scary enough.
As a composer, silence is part of a composition. So I bet you when things were silent, Bear said and recommended that. I'm just saying, as a musician, we firmly believe that rests and silence are just as equal in value as music. So I agree. There were moments when you could really tell that Bear had written some lovely stuff for this episode, but there was a lot of lack of instrumentation and of music, and that was on purpose because you needed it to be scary.
You needed it to be unnerving.
Yes.
And how about that shot? This was my second favorite shot of the episode, and I'll tell you my first later on, of when he takes his hand and he pushes it out to Jamie as he's talking about Claire touching his scars, and he is making the motion, pointing to Jamie almost, and laying his hands as Jamie's far away from him over his back. And Anna put the camera right in that direction so that it looked like he was touching Jamie from afar. Oh, I mean, to get in, I can't say enough. It's just brilliant. Brilliant. Oh my God.
Randall, of course, says also during this bit that I will have your surrender before you leave this world.
Mm-hmm.
What? What? Holy smokes. That's really scary. And of course, he also says that Jamie escaped Fort William, but not me. I'm like so scared by all these things that he says because I feel like that's me. I've escaped different things, but he's such a scary guy. He weirds me out a lot. He also quotes, doesn't quote, but talks a little bit about Brutus.
Yeah, which is ironic in and of itself because he played Brutus in the show Rome, which if you have not seen it, by the way, please do yourself a favor and watch Rome on HBO. Well, it was on HBO. It's a brilliant show. There is no Outlander without Rome.
He's just talking about different ways, how do you want to die, Jamie? Did you want to die with the noose? Do you want me to slit your throat from behind?
It would be messy, of course, but we would make do. Do you want a Greek death like Socrates taking hemlock or Brutus falling on his own sword? Just great. It's so matter of fact too. Like, hey, listen, you can have it this way. You can have it that way.
You can die all types of ways, but I'll tell you this: you are going to surrender before you leave this world, and I can also give you a gift of these deaths, a gift of who knows what,
mm-hmm.
maybe something better than that. But I can give you a gift.
Do you think he feels like he's doing Jamie a favor?
Yes.
Because he does say, I'm trying to help you.
Yes.
Stop fighting me. Do you think he's like saying,
because I don't think BJR hates Jamie. It's really cat and mouse. This is a prize that I want. This is someone who I created a beautiful masterpiece of dead flesh with,
mm-hmm.
who is strong-willed, who I keep bumping into. I mean, he is haunted by Jamie just as much as all of us are haunted by BJR. But he wants this, and now he has his opportunity. He sees a way that he can win, and that Jamie can win.
So do you think that's why he needs Jamie's permission to to say when he asks, may I, or when...
Because that's the final way to break him. He could just take Jamie. Easy. You get Marley right there.
Mm-hmm.
Hold him down. Boom. I mean, you saw even when he had his broken, smashed up hand and he took his other hand and he made Jamie touch him and he had to stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's too easy. Way too easy.
Sure.
To Blackjack Randall.
Yeah, I agree. And as much as Blackjack Randall is a despicable character, oddly enough, I think he does have his own sense of honor in a way. I think he has his own sense of code that he abides by, especially with people that he respects. I think as much as it bothers him that Jamie did not give in, I think he respects Jamie a lot.
Yeah, he even says there's a part of me that would have been crestfallen if you did just give in.
Correct, right. So I think when it comes to some people that he respects, he's going to treat them in a manner of, in his own manner of being polite. Let's put it that way. And listen, this is going to suck and you're going to die. And either you're going to die really awfully, or I can give you an honorable death. A way of your choosing. It could be quick. I could do this for you. You're going to die anyway. So why not make me do it? Listen, I understand if you don't want to see my face as the last thing you ever see on this planet. That's why maybe I could slit your throat from the back. But you're going to die anyway, so let me help you go the way you need to go.
Jamie tries to fight. He tries to fight, and it just makes things worse for him. He fights with his words. He says, "You're the one that sees my face every night," and he totally hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm. And he does. Blackjack definitely does.
And then poor Jamie tries to leave, and no, I'm sorry, you are not gonna beat these two guys. So that's when Randall obliterates Jamie's left hand. Now, I was really confused for this because they took his left hand, as I said. Mm-hmm. And in the books, Jamie's left-handed.
Oh, really?
So, and they make kind of a big deal out of it.
Okay.
But I'm sitting here going, wait a second, that's his hand. And I did read somewhere that they have made Jamie in the show right-handed because Sam is right-handed, so
sure.
It is fighting and everything, and they said it would just be too hard to have to teach him how to do everything
makes sense.
Right-handed. So don't worry. If you sat there and you went, oh God, but Jamie's left-handed, how is this going to work for him?
Mm-hmm. Maybe it was just a cool callback to the book.
No, it was just a decision because Sam is right-handed. So
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't anything. I sat there going, "Oh no." I always feel bad for kids when I see them in school and they have a broken hand. It's their writing hand.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and they're like trying.
Exactly.
And I like when they showed Jamie's hand get hit. You saw
I didn't know. I covered my eyes.
You saw the hand like flatten. Ugh. And Jamie, this was great too because the normal thing I think to do in just a regular production would be to have the guy scream instantly, like, oh my god, it hurts. Like, but he didn't do that. Like nothing. You know when you hurt so bad.
Well, and this is Jamie. He knows that would be to Randall's satisfaction.
Well, no, I mean, but like it hurt so bad that there was nothing came out. Almost. It wasn't like, oh, I'm being tough, so I'm not going to do anything. It was, holy F. That just happened. It was shock. It was awfulness, and it hurt so bad nothing came out. Like his face was contorted, and eventually it came out. But really great detail there. I like that a lot.
And during this time, Randall decides to make Jamie touch him, and this is when he says that he will not give in to coarse passion.
Well, before we get into that, you have Blackjack Randall blaming Jamie for saying, why do you force me to treat you this way? Force to hurt you. You're better than that. You're better than that. Is he blaming Jamie for everything that he has to do? Is he saying that you are better? I've given you this amount of respect.
I think he still is trying to break Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
Blackjack Randall loves hurting people.
Sure.
He does. He loves hurting Jamie. It's really weird. It's really gross. And I think by him doing this, it's teasing Jamie. Mm-hmm. Basically saying, are you really this dumb? You could have had a get out of jail free card a couple minutes ago. Mm-hmm. You're dumb. Come on, smarten up.
Yeah, you're making me do this.
Yeah. So I think he's just being a bully.
And then we have Blackjack Randall forcing Jamie to look at him. Like this is when Jamie finally starts to pass out a little bit. And he picks his face up and he's making him look into camera. Really cool shot of it going in and out of focus. Mm-hmm. And you're in Jamie's POV and you're looking at BJR. And it was disturbing. It was disturbing to be in that POV of coming in and out. And finally he says, all right, let's go. It's time to wake up and you need to look at me. Why do you think it's so important that Jamie looks at BJR?
Oh, he wants him to be present and with it. BJR thinks he's going to get her done right now. Mm-hmm. He does. He thinks this is my time. I'm down here in this cell. This is going to be great. We're going to get jiggy with it.
Get jiggy.
I don't know. I don't know how to put this in. I don't know how. but he wants Jamie to be present. Everything that he wants Jamie to willingly do this. He doesn't want passed out Jamie. He doesn't want whimpering, near dead Jamie. He wants a very present, red-headed, strapping man.
Sure.
And that's why he then takes his hand, knowing, okay, he's awake.
Yep. It's time now. And he puts it on there. He puts it, on little Jack Randall. And he's saying, can you feel that? He's like, I could just take you right now. And he's about to do it. And he's like smiling, and he's oh my God, he's in his moment. And then you see a sudden change in him. Something comes over him that he didn't anticipate. He didn't know it was going to happen. It just a total change of heart. And that's when he comes up with I'm not going to give in to this coarse passion, this ugly kind of perverse passion that I have. We're going to do this the way that I intend to do it, which is because he could do it. He could make Jamie right then and there do whatever he wanted.
Easily. But I'm going to wait till you ask for it.
Yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to make you ask for it.
And you know what sucks?
That's really good. I like that.
Is that I don't think Jamie would have ever asked for it if Claire hadn't come into the picture.
Oh, hell no. And what's even worse, let's put it this way. If it weren't for BJR, Jamie's dead.
Yeah, he would have been hung. He would have been hung. Mm-hmm. There would have been no, I could be your hero, baby.
That'd be the end of Outlander. I'm sorry. And how perverse is that for the viewer? How awful is it knowing that Jamie is alive because of Blackjack Randall?
Yeah.
In some sick, twisted way, you have to be thankful for this guy.
Jamie's not.
No, hell no. Hell no. But oh my God. Some of our favorite people, Marie and Erin over at Outlander Online, asked me on Twitter after the episode, so we really want to know, does Blake still like BJR? Guess what, gals? I do. I like BJR. I like the character. I like he is...
You like watching him.
Yeah. Well, I like the character, and not the stuff that he does. Well, it's a complicated relationship that I have with BJR. Okay, I'll put it that way. It's a complicated relationship.
You like hating BJR because he is such a good villain.
Yes, he is. He's such a good villain.
I'm just trying to clarify that you're not a creeper as well.
No, I'm not a sadistic creep like BJR, but I like... It's electric watching him do what he does, and it's electric watching Tobias Menzies. Like, I remember when we were watching it together, I was just saying, oh my God, I can't get enough of this. It was compelling. It was interesting. And this was the episode, in my opinion, that has saved Outlander. I mean, we had
saved this half. You haven't enjoyed this half. Okay.
I haven't. I mean, Devil's Mark I enjoyed. But this half of the season has been clunky at best. Very uneven. Not a lot of...
In your opinion.
Yeah, listen, this is what I'm paid to do. I'm paid to give my opinion. Whether it's a hot take or not, and whether or not you want to listen to it or not, I got to do it. It's been clunky at best. And that's okay, because I think some of the story that was given is a little clunky. But this episode saved this half. All seriously, and it was all on the back of Tobias Menzies.
Well, keeping on with that, I'm just going to skip over the whole Claire and Jamie time before Blackjack Randall comes right back in.
Because not a lot happened.
Nothing, really. I mean,
she's
what
trying to save him, open the door.
Yeah, Claire is there, and she is now the reason that Blackjack Randall is able to leverage his wants upon Jamie. Mm-hmm. And Claire and Jamie have this very cute try of escaping and beating people up. And oh my God, Jamie, how did you kill Marley with that nail business? That was so quick. That was ninja.
That was totally ninja.
He learned that from Ian.
It's the Adam's apple thing. Like, that's why I have this really averse reaction to when people like come near my Adam's apple. I don't like it. Like, even my wife, don't touch me there. I hate it. So like that's why you don't touch the Adam's apple, because he just crushed it like with that thing. Awful. Like, oh my God. And thank you, Claire, for this bit of that line saying, I should have slit your throat at Fort William. Because we were all saying it at the time. Why didn't you just kill this guy?
Yep.
What the hell were you thinking? And I'm so glad she said that, because he then turns around and says, yes, you should have done it. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to regret that small act of humanity. And so with this in mind, when he says you're going to regret that small act of humanity, I mean, it would be humane to kill Blackjack Randall. Does he consider himself inhumane? Think of that.
He considers his tastes unnatural.
So yeah, would that make him inhumane? Would that make him inhuman? Right? Is he beyond?
I don't even know.
I just thinking of that logically.
Yeah.
But and then again, he touches Claire again in that really awkward way. Like, I can't wait to like I said, I can't wait to ask Anna about this, because was that scripted? Because he's done this now a bunch of different times. Like, he did it to Jenny with the touching, like putting his finger in her mouth, and we know that was unscripted. And we know how he's touched Claire before, and now he's touching her again, just above that lip and just like taking the sweat off. He loves doing that. He loves just doing whatever the hell he feels like. It's details.
He finds those little creepy details. I agree.
Yeah, it's the details that make him who he is.
Ugh. Well, continuing with the creepiness, he lets Marley handle her to try to find weapons. And he even says, I'm not really going to watch this, because Claire asks, oh, do you want to watch? Is this how sick you are? I mean, she's just giving it to him.
And he has that face like, maybe
not today.
No, not so much right now, though.
I was really excited about Jamie. So he says, you're a lovely woman. But
I'm on the Jamie train right now, girl.
Yeah. And needless to say, he gets the hammer. They get into this scuff. He gets the hammer. Looks like he's about to bash Claire's head in. And this is where you see Jamie break.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, are you watching? Again, making sure that Jamie watches. It brought me back to... you ever see that movie, A Bronx Tale? I think I made you watch that before.
A Bronx Tale.
It's the one with Robert De Niro and...
No.
Well, anyway, there's the scene where one of the main characters just beats the hell out of this biker dude in this bar. And he wakes the biker dude up after beating the crap out of him. And he says, look at me and remember who did this to you. Remember who did this to you. And it reminded me, all of this, like, look at me, wake up kind of stuff that BJR is doing to Jamie. It reminded me of that, because he took pleasure in knowing that he was doing it. He's like, okay, dude, are you ready? Are you watching right now? Are you ready for this to go down? Because I right now am going to ravage your wife. And he knows. I think he does this because he knows he's not going to break Jamie.
No, well, this is how to break Jamie. Yeah. Jamie's yelling, stop, and he says, make me a better offer.
Yeah, the gift of Claire showing up. The gift of knowing that she is there. And now I can do whatever I feel like to you, because this is your weak spot. I've found it. And you have no chance of...
And to prove himself that he won't fight, that his word is going to be true.
Yep.
He hammers Jamie's hand, his broken hand, into the table. And also, in addition to that, tells Jamie, oh, not only do you not need to struggle, you need to tell your wife she can't struggle about this. And this scene, God, this, the whole, as you said that Tobias shined, and he sure did. This is where Claire shone for me. Jamie, I loved all of the facial things he did, the tear. But when Claire is looking at him with so much pain.
The chin came out again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So much pain as he's having his hand nailed to a table. I mean, you can't put it any other way.
And like multiple times, by the way. It wasn't like... It wasn't just like one hit.
Yeah.
It was
multiple.
I think it was 3 or 4 smacks.
And then after that, to kiss him.
And not just kiss him, but like mouth open.
Ravage.
Like Top Gun style kiss where tongues are out, and like it was invasive. He has done a great job at being invasive to both of these characters.
And he says, we will remember this moment for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and is that more so than the original beating that he gave Jamie?
I don't understand. You mean the words? Do the words hurt more than...
Yeah, like, will he remember this more than the original beating of Jamie?
Yes.
Because he's finally got what he wanted.
The beginning beating with Jamie was just chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
That was the beginning of their relationship in BJR's mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they created this masterpiece together.
Mm-hmm.
And now he gets to conclude this story on the most beautiful note in his mind.
And he has that look at Claire right before he kisses Jamie.
He does it even while he's kissing Jamie.
Yeah.
He's like, looks at her like, oh, look at me. Look what I get to do. But then even while they're kissing, he opens his eyes. Totally not supposed to do that, man.
Can't do that. Not
you
allowed
obviously
to do
don't
that.
kiss that frequently. And he's looking at her once again, almost like rubbing it in her face. Like, look at what I'm able to do.
Mm-hmm. And your man, your strapping young Jamie
is not fighting.
Not fighting. And how do you like me now? And you know, we posted an article about this episode before it aired, saying how this was some of the most disturbing stuff you've ever seen on a television show. You've never quite seen anything like it. And upon my first viewing of this episode, to be honest,
neither of us felt like this was anything new.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was new. It didn't feel like we've seen nails in like we've seen torture. Yeah, we've seen torture. We've seen
sexual assault.
We've seen blood. We've seen people talking the way that they were. We've already seen BJR be kind of sadistic in a way.
But then we watched it a second time, and I said, You know what, Blake? All of this season, all of season 1, women have been objectified, there's been attempt rapes, there's been, you're the lesser sex. And you see that. You see women often either get raped or sexually assaulted on shows, on television, on movies. But you don't see a man get sexually assaulted by another man.
Correct. And not in this way.
Yeah. And that is what was different. Yeah. I think people were expecting to see, we had already seen Little Jack Randall in the flesh in a previous episode. Maybe people were expecting to see that. Maybe people were expecting to see a lot more physically.
Well, to be honest, I got to tell you, I'm still expecting to see Little Jack Randall because you don't it's the Chekhov thing. You don't introduce that.
But that article was about this episode.
Well, I think it was about both eventually. Upon my second reading of that article, it was about both, but it was mainly about this episode.
And that's, during the second reading, during the second viewing of this episode, I sat there and I said, no, everyone's right. This is stuff we haven't seen. Yes, I expected it to push in different ways, but now that I sit back and I see that it's man-on-man, forced sexual assault.
The kissing, like this intimate, like I hypothesized earlier in this season that Blackjack Randall is not capable of that kind of intimacy, the kissing, because he is sadistic. He derives pleasure out of pain. Thereby, he cannot undergo something as tender and intimate as a kiss. And of course, there are wide ranges.
He did, but Jamie was broken. Jamie also had his hand nailed to a table as this is happening.
That's true.
So, from now on, no matter what else he does to Jamie, Jamie is already incredibly in pain. Mm-hmm. You're right. It's not like he was like, "Hey, Jamie, here's my bread. Here's your nice sweet. Let's go find a down feathered mattress and go at it."
Yep.
He's already in.
So does the
pain.
kissing that you think count as something that we have never seen before?
I wouldn't.
And would you consider that disturbing enough?
I just think the whole sexual assault acts, forcing Jamie to touch him. I think all of this man-on-man sexual assault is something that I know I haven't seen.
Yep.
And so those articles were right. As I said, the first time I saw it, I was like, I've seen torture.
We watched 24. We get it.
Yeah, but then the second time I went, wait a second. It is very different. And I like that Diana did this because every single time that a woman had been attempt assaulted, whether it was Claire by, Dougal earlier in the season, Claire by Blackjack Randall, Jenny by Blackjack Randall.
Or Claire by the guards at the Ridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of these times, It didn't.
It never happened?
Nothing happened. Yeah, exactly. It didn't end up happening. And now something is happening, and it's happening to a man.
Yeah, so the way to turn that around.
Not only a man, but Jamie Fraser, who in this episode they showed as so strong. And they have been showing that. You see Jamie, as I said before, fight several men. You are getting the man of men.
And constantly fighting, even in this episode.
Yes.
Constantly trying to get away from Marley, trying to get away from the straps, trying to get away from the other guards. And now he's finally given up.
But what I'm trying to say is you see a very strong, it's not this meek, easily taken advantage of person.
Yep.
It's not what, is often portrayed as feminine qualities.
Sure.
You have this alpha male.
Yeah, and turning this whole notion of rape and the whole notion of sexual assault on its head.
Yes.
Because you got to, let's be honest here. We all think of, when we think of a sexual assault, we're thinking of a man doing something to a woman because.
I wouldn't say all of us do, but I would say that more often than not.
All right, better. Okay, let's put it better. The way that it's usually portrayed.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially in television or film.
Yep.
Or even, books. Exactly.
So now they're turning this whole notion on their head.
And so I challenge any of our listeners, because I saw a lot of comments about people saying, oh, I thought they were going to push it a bit more this episode, or I didn't think that enough happened, or that anything different happened. People kept saying different things are going to happen this episode. And I challenge you to think about it now in that way.
Yeah, and listen, did a lot happen? Like really disturbing stuff happen. Like I'll tell you, the reason why I gave it 4.8 kills is because everybody had built Wentworth up so much on social media, and like you were even talking about it with me, like, dude,
just wait.
You can't, oh my God, like Wentworth is going to be insane, and maybe it's my fault for thinking this is going to blow my mind. And I know there's more stuff to come, and I can appreciate that. I can get on board with that. So not a lot happened.
But how jaded are you for saying that? That's my question, okay? You do watch 24.
Yep.
We do watch a lot of shows where there's violence, or there's this, or there's that.
Oh, well, now that's a different conversation altogether.
No, but what I'm saying is, think about what we saw. Think about what happened to Jamie. Think about this individual. Obviously, it's made up.
Yep.
But if this person wasn't made up, would you sit there and be like, say Jamie escaped and went and lived a life as a baker, and he was like, hey, I live a life as a baker, but I had this really, really messed up thing that happened to me. Would you sit there and be like, that's kind of messed up? Not really messed up. No, you'd hear this story and go, "Oh my God."
Yeah, but this is through the lens of television, though. So you're already numb to begin with as it relates to television.
But this isn't normal Jamie stuff. This isn't Jack Bauer, who sees this every day. This is Jamie Fraser, who likes to hang out with horses and have sex with his wife.
But you're not considering Jamie. You're considering the viewer as the barometer. The viewer is the metric. What is the viewer expecting to see, right? What does the viewer want? And regardless of whatever happens to Jamie, if it's real life or not.
Are you faulting the build-up? Did the build-up hinder it from those 2/10 of a point?
Well, all right, let's say this. There was no freaking build-up from the search, I'll tell you that.
No, I mean the build-up from articles.
Yeah, build-up from articles.
Or from listeners or myself.
Yeah, because I was told this is going to blow your mind. Like, there is going to be stuff in here that you've never seen before. And I'm getting to my point about this. Was there like torture and stuff like that I've never seen before? No. But what I haven't seen is the sexual assault man on man. But what makes it, I think, stick with you, what makes it work, and what I think enlivens the material upon a second viewing is the silence. It's the, oh man, it's just the time that it takes for it to all happen. And I keep saying this, I can't wait to talk to Anna about what it was like on set, because it must have been tough. It must have been awful. So, all right, let me bring it all back around here. Have I seen some of this stuff on television before? Yes, I have. I've seen torture. I've seen sexual assault. Have I seen it in this manner? No, I haven't. But I think the build-up from all the listeners, all the readers, all the articles I've I've read, made it to be like everything you're seeing is going to be groundbreaking. And I don't see this as groundbreaking. You know what I mean? I don't see it as like stop my heart kind of television quite yet. And that's why I gave it a 4.8 kill rating.
We can agree to disagree on this matter, of course. So let's leave poor Jamie behind.
Well, Claire saying goodbye was tough. It was rough. And he's, I'm not even going to attempt the Gaelic. But he calls it the brown-haired lass in Gaelic. And
says, I love you.
Yeah. Yep.
And says, I love you. And she has to go. So pissed off Claire walks out with Blackjack Randall, and he's like, oh, guess what? I heard you were tried for a witch.
I recently heard an extraordinary rumor about you. That there was a trial held at Cranesmuir. You were accused of being a witch.
Yes. Witch I am. And I curse you. I curse you with the knowledge, Jack Randall. I give you the hour of your death. Jonathan Wolferton Randall, born September 3rd, 1705, dies.
And this was it right here. This was my favorite scene, like the favorite shot of this entire episode, which was Claire going up to Jack Randall's ear in front of the fire and whispering his death date into this guy's ear. What an amazing shot. What an amazing, just breathtaking. Breathtaking.
And what I really liked as a book reader is I know what she said, but because we're watching the show, you don't have to know what she said.
No, you don't want to know what she says.
No.
You shouldn't know what she says.
And it's so cool because it's not like you could have written that in the book. Of course, the whole book was from Claire's perspective. You couldn't have her say, and then I whispered in his ear the date I knew. Like, you just can't write that. You can't write that, but you can do this on an episode, on a television episode.
And a great shot because it was the fire, behind Claire and Blackjack Randall. It's indicative of the fire burning within Claire for the hatred of this man and the fire of her playing the role of witch. How beautiful of it is it of Claire to play finally the role of witch and say, yeah, you're going to die. By the way, BT dubs. And how do you like me now?
We're going to take a brief moment from the recapping. I mean, or we can do it really quickly.
Okay.
All we know is that Jamie's mom was a hottie. Everyone bought her jewelry and freaking loved this woman. All right. Claire tries to say, please, please, please help my husband. Here's some pearls. And he's like, oh, I already got these pearls. I gave them actually to a woman. And she's like, yeah, that was my husband's mom. And then Murtaugh gets a little jealous in his face, and he probably thinks like, oh, man.
He gave her pearl. I gave her boar tusks.
I made them with my hands. Did this guy make a necklace with his hands? I doubt it. I doubt it. Anyway, and then, of course, the cows, and Murtaugh lights up saying, oh, I know how to save Jamie. Okay, very exciting stuff. But we need to talk for a second because there's a really big issue. Claire whispers. So is it okay with like finishing up the recap there? That there's cows and somehow Murtaugh thinks it's going to be okay.
I don't want to finish the recap there because we still have more stuff with Blackjack Randall and Jamie.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean with Claire.
Yeah. No.
Okay. All you need to know is here's some pearls. Oh, I loved her too.
Well, the last thing I want to talk about Claire is with Blackjack cows is when Blackjack Randall pushes her down the hole.
Oh, yes.
And like, first of all, how did she not like snap her ankles or her wrists on the way down? Like, that was a big fall.
She's graceful.
Yeah, okay. She's not a cat.
She kind of like...
Well, actually, she is a cat, technically. Well, whatever.
That's why. It was one of her 9 lives.
Like, he pushes her down there, and that's what he thinks of her. It's just like another piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just another dead body to me.
Oh, and she sees Macquarie.
Shows up and sees Macquarie, and she is at her lowest. The lowest I think that she's ever been. Even more than being in war in 1945, dealing with all the different like bodies and the soldiers. She's at her lowest here.
Well, you've
like
just
figuratively
chosen,
and literally.
You've just chosen to be in a totally different time that you're not supposed to be in. You made the choice. Okay, I'm going to be here for this guy that I love. Oh, and now, sorry, now he's not here anymore.
Sure.
Here, go hang out with dead people.
Yep.
And all these other people that you kind of don't really like.
And again, being faced with Macquarie's ultimate fate, which, like I've hypothesized, I've said in the beginning of this episode, which was Macquarie is representative, in my opinion, of the Jacobite Rebellion.
Yes.
In the face of death, in the face of the Jacobite Rebellion's death, she still chooses to climb out on her own will, by her own volition, with all of her might and all of her strength, to get out of that ditch and fight back again. Right?
She's stubborn, man.
She's stubborn as hell. But it's great because we actually, when we were walking earlier, we had this conversation about what Claire can do.
Okay, so yeah, this is what I wanted to get to.
Yes.
So Claire whispers a date to Blackjack Randall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as book readers, we know what that date was.
Mm-hmm.
As TV watchers, you can assume that she didn't say, and you're going to die today. Mm-hmm. Okay? But here she is. Murtaugh has a plan. They're obviously planning on going back to the prison.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't say you die today. But now comes into the question, okay, Claire traveled through time. Is she able to alter Blackjack Randall's death date?
Correct.
And
because now, since he's informed, will he do whatever he can to avoid that death date?
Or could his death date now be today? If they go back with these cows, could they even kill Blackjack Randall today?
Or here's a question that'll blow your mind. Is what he will do to avoid the death date bring on the death date?
Yeah, is he like, oh, I know when I'm going to die and it's not today, so I can just be ballsy and do whatever I want. So Blake and I were talking about, what is the time travel situation in the Outlander universe?
And I know we've talked about this multiple times already, and I know I have, like during listener feedbacks and stuff, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we came up with 3 different scenarios.
Correct.
And hopefully you know these different scenarios. There is Star Trek. Now, Star Trek...
spoiler alerts for anybody who has not seen Star Trek, Lost, or X-Men Days of Future Past.
Those are our 3 reference points.
So if you have not seen these, okay, spoiler alert, here we go. Spoiler alert for all these 3 movies.
Okay, Star Trek, I'm talking about the new movies with the hot guys. All
Correct.
right?
The new movies with the hot guys.
That's how I watch Star Trek.
Oh my God.
So in the new Star Trek movies...
With Chris Pine, directed by J.J. Abrams.
In the new Star Trek movies, they pretty much rebooted, except they don't follow the same exact plot lines. And they even had one movie where there were 2 Spocks. There was the old Spock guy and then the new Spock guy, the hot one. And the old Spock guy was like, hey, guess what? You're in an alternate universe timeline. Okay? So what happened in that timeline. And now this is a new timeline. Okay,
let me translate the Mary for you guys. Meaning, an event happened, and the original timeline from the original Star Trek that we all know continued on. But when this event happened, a new timeline, a new dimension was created.
Basically, what happened to Claire when she had her palm read.
A
fork in the road.
Yes, thank you. Okay, she has two separate lives.
Yes.
Living in conjunction, living parallel with each other. So parallel universes for Star Trek.
That is one, parallel universes.
Okay.
Then there's Lost. Can you explain Lost?
I can totally explain Lost.
Oh, good, because no one can. Not even the writers.
Don't even say, don't you dare say that.
They can't explain it well
Damon
enough.
Lindelof and Carlton Hughes, they're saints. Don't bring them into this conversation. Listen, what happened in Lost...
I want to see if you can actually very simply describe this.
I can.
Okay.
What happened in Lost, spoiler alert, is they were on the island. They found a way to go back in time to change their futures. The problem is that they didn't realize that they always went back in time. They always did it no matter what. So you look at pictures of them in present time, pictures like back in like the 70s, and you see them in the 70s. They were always there. What happened. No matter what you do, time is immutable. Time cannot be changed.
Okay, so that being said, in the Claire universe,
she always went back.
Yeah, well, and what date she told Blackjack Randall will be that date.
No matter what he does, no matter what she does, it will always be that date.
Yes.
Correct.
Now, X-Men.
Yep. Days of Future Past.
Which is when Wolverine goes back in the future.
Mm-hmm.
This is what people do now. They're like, hey, we had a successful franchise. Let's just do it again. Tell me the timeline in this one.
Okay, so now they send Wolverine back in time to change the future. And guess what? He does. But what they say is time is like water. It finds its path. It finds its way back to where it came from. So you can divert the stream a little bit, but no matter what, it will course correct.
So if we're doing the X-Men thing, can Blackjack Randall's death date be moved?
No, not necessarily. But the events that surround it can be changed.
Okay.
So those are the three options that we have.
So you either have Star Trek, which is the parallel,
Correct.
meaning two different ways he can have a different death date. Lost, which what happened.
Mm-hmm.
X-Men, some things can happen, but you still are probably going to have the same ending.
Yeah, no matter what, it still happens.
So we have to try to just figure out. We don't get to figure out. We just get to enjoy and watch and see which of these three different types of time travel scenarios.
Well, here's the thing. Do you think she does it to change history, or do you think she does it just to spite?
She does it to spite him.
Yeah.
Oh, she totally does it to spite him. That is the worst thing you could ever know.
That's when you're going to die?
Yeah. People say that all the time.
Like, I don't want to know.
You don't want to know how or when you're going to die.
Yeah, okay, I'll get on board with that.
So
I'll get on board with that.
So that's kind of one of the big things. And then, of course, we have to go a little bit more into Jamie and Blackjack Randall. But thank you guys for holding on to with us with our deep, which time travel scenario can this be?
I know. We had this conversation, like, honestly, guys.
Actually, while I was having contractions.
That's true, actually.
That went away. Thanks, baby. Okay, so let's go back into that very sad jail cell.
Yes.
Where Jamie is now with Blackjack Randall without Claire.
And it's a relatively quick scene because, you know, Jamie asks.
Interlude.
Yeah, Jamie asks, is she safe? And like he touches Blackjack's hand like, hey.
I saw it as a pleading. Like, please, is she really safe?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, is this really happening? Like, it's a moment of honesty and a moment of vulnerability from Jamie. Like, okay, listen, what's going to happen is going to happen here, but just please be honest with me. And to his credit, Blackjack Randall says yes.
I would have said, show me, take me to the window, I want to see her.
Yeah, I get it. Well, your hand is nailed to the table.
Unnail me.
Oh my God. And to Blackjack's credit, again, this type.
Give me your iPhone. I want to FaceTime her and make sure she's okay.
His own code of ethics here, he's living up to it for Jamie, saying, yes, she is safe. And he touches his hand, Jamie's hand back.
Yes.
Gives him comfort. And how... I didn't know he was capable of that. I didn't know Blackjack Randall was capable of doing something like that.
He is very capable of being tender in a terrifying way.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so, of course, let's get started.
Mm-hmm.
Cuts open Jamie's shirt. is tender with his touch.
Oh yeah, closes his eyes and he envisions
The masterpiece.
He doesn't. Yeah, he even calls it a masterpiece again, and touches the back, and just envisions what he had done, and it's great because Blackjack, from what I can see, he needs to experience. He needs to.
He's a very touchy-feely person.
He can't be told. He can't be told anything. He needs to feel it. Everything that he does, he needs to feel. Whether it's trying to take advantage of a woman, or it's you know what it is? It's like that painting. I think it was, who was it? Was it Thomas who Jesus was telling him about his wounds, and Thomas didn't believe him until he had to actually touch Jesus. And say, and he finally had proof. Like, yes, I understand what you mean now. The same thing. I felt like BJR didn't really feel. He didn't really believe it was real until he actually touched it and experienced it.
I also, not only did he believe it was real, but I saw it more as, I've been dreaming about this moment.
Mm-hmm. And he licks it, like he just, which is odd because as much as he needs to experience it. Jamie, in all, I got TMI here. I got scars on my stomach from an accident that I had, and I have no feeling where those scars are. So Jamie, technically, probably from my experience, wouldn't be able to feel that.
I mean, Blackjack Randall even says that. You know, how does it feel to have so much dead flesh?
Yeah, I got that right here.
How does it feel to be alive, yet wear so much dead flesh? Shall I begin?
It's just remarkable.
So maybe that's
stuff.
one good thing we can think about is at least Jamie didn't feel that tongue.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's a valid point.
You could just sit there and be like, is he just breathing? What's he doing? So we can at least have that moment of reprieve.
It's great because now you see his fascination with Jamie. That Jamie is alive in a dead skin, like a dead covering
that they created together.
Correct. They'd born this themselves. They created it together. It was the masterpiece.
And that Jamie, the other thing is he gave Claire a compliment that she was very strong-willed and that actually, you know, she's a good match with Jamie. Mm-hmm. And you need to know that, once again, Jamie is a very strong individual. Most men would have died from that lashing, and he didn't. And that's what makes him so special. He is the man of men. Mm-hmm. And now Blackjack Randall has him.
You know, you really touched on a great point here. They created this together. It's not like Jamie is Jamie and BJR is BJR.
It's not like Jamie came over and BJR was like, yo, I have hots for scarred people. Mm-hmm. And you're scarred.
Hey, that looks awesome.
That does it for me.
No. That is not happening at all here. They had done it together. It's their own baby, essentially. It's their own creation.
And that Jamie allowed it to happen. A, physically was able to have it happen because he was so strong. But B, kind of chose that route.
Yeah, and what's it like to live the life we created together? What's it like to live the life among this creation that we have?
Blackjack Randall really wants to know, how are you wearing pretty much a cape of dead skin?
Yeah. Amazing stuff. And Sam Heughan, his finest acting yet, with the tear
by far
coming down, the eyes widening, like his finest acting yet. Is it as good, in my opinion, as Tobias Menzies? No, but it is exceptional.
I thought Sam matched him.
This final scene between the two,
yes,
even though not a lot was said, you didn't need to say it. It was everything that was happening all episode. It finally crescendoed in this last scene.
You know what I thought was really weird? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about it now. Marley's just hanging out dead in the corner while this is all happening.
Oh, yeah, that's right, huh? I didn't even think about that.
I know.
That's weird. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going on here. But as I'm thinking about this, you know, earlier he tells Claire and Jamie, I haven't even begun yet.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't even, and he says it about, I think he knows about the nail. Like, I haven't even started hitting this thing yet, but I think he means really, I haven't even, like, you don't even know what's going to happen right now.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. And now we finally have him making good on that.
It's interesting how they decided to end this episode and how, of course, we're now deciding to end our recap. We're ending it with this, the really horrifying beginning, let's begin part.
Correct.
Whereas they chose to have this episode end almost on a lighthearted moment of Murtaugh.
Well, you had to do that.
Why?
I think for the viewership to leave on the note of Jamie being... if it were me...
Yeah.
If it were me, I would have chosen that route, the route of
The cows?
shall we begin?
Oh, okay. I would have... Exactly. That's what I'm saying. with
Okay,
the
yeah.
licking.
I would have done that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure people enjoy television the way that I do. People don't enjoy villains the way that I do,
Okay.
I feel like. And to leave on that note, it's a foreboding note. And let's also talk about the viewership of this television show. A lot of it is women. We already know that. I mean, a lot of men watch this show. We have some listeners that call in, but most of it is women. And do they want that? Like the general populace?
Do we need the moment to breathe
Yeah,
with the cattle and with Murtaugh
correct.
versus...
And it's hard for me, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way. It's hard for me.
You're just saying that there's a lot of tender-hearted viewers.
Yeah, and
who love these characters.
And I watch television in a very unique way. It's very unique to me. So that's why I can say, I know I want to leave that way. So as a woman, are they thinking...
I wouldn't even necessarily say as a woman. Once again, I think that the reviewers and the people who talked about this episode were right. We did just see something that hasn't really been shown on television.
Yep.
We just saw a very, very strong alpha male be sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that we need to be haunted with at the last moment?
Mm-hmm.
Or can we have it, accept it, and have a glimmer of hope?
And then have that glimmer of hope take us through
Yeah.
not only this week, but the next week, building up to the finale.
Yes. So, and no, exactly. Knowing that there's going to be this hiatus too, where we're going to have a week without it.
Yep.
How messed up would people have been? I mean, people are already messed up from this episode. They're
Sure,
saying
yeah.
that they couldn't watch it, that they had to have their eyes covered.
I
that-
know someone who did in this house,
Hey,
and it wasn't me.
It was me.
It
was
wasn't
me.
Reese. It wasn't Godzilla.
So I agree. I've thought about it back and forth. How would I have wanted this episode to be ended? And I don't know. I like how it was written.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it did end. But just interestingly enough, I just think how different would this conversation that we just have be
Sure.
if it ended in the jail cell?
I think. All right. Yes, you're right. And my final thought on this episode so far, and I'm sure I'll have more in our next episode. Oddly enough, as dire and as lonely and as vile as this episode could be, I feel like this episode was rooted out of love. Oddly enough, you have Macquarie dying, and then realizing he has this love of his country against the British. He wants to be the patriot he wished he could have been. Jamie, Claire is trying to rescue Jamie out of love. Jamie is saving Claire out of love. Murtaugh is carrying Claire out of a familial kind of love. Like, oh, it's okay, honey, we'll take care of you. We're talking about the McLaren or McLennan, the house owner, talking about Jamie's mom, giving her these pearls out of love. And let's be honest here. BJR has this kind of love of Jamie in a way, this respect for Jamie, like this.
It's sick love.
It's
yeah.
sick love, right? And also, he has a love of his sickness. I think he really gets pleasure out of it.
Oh, I hate the word love right now. Ew. I feel dirty with it.
I know, but that's the idea behind it.
I know.
There are so many versions of love. And whether or not you agree with it, BJR has this kind of emotion, and I think he is in love with it. And it may be displeasing to hear, and I'm sorry that if it is, but it's I think I'm convinced.
Twisted.
It's twisted.
Twisted love.
It's twisted sister love. Ugh. So that's my final thought for this
dirty.
episode.
All right.
I know you feel dirty. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's hear from Kendra.
Hey, it's Kendra. We discussed the title card on Twitter in regards to not seeing the implements of torture come to fruition in this particular episode itself. However, we need to remember that a great deal of torture does happen on screen, mostly psychological, perhaps a disingenuous title card, but not an ineffective one. My stomach dropped to my toes and stayed there. It appropriately prepared us for a very difficult episode. And again, we get this oddly intimate connection with Jamie and Macquarie. They discuss an honorable death and how sad that Macquarie has such a terrible one. We really needed the bonding between Claire and Myrta. And again, Katrina's acting in the scene with Fletcher, incredibly honest and beautiful. We needed that bonding with Myrta and Claire last week to set up their joint resolve here. I just wish it had taken less time. We have none left. Every moment here in this episode, no matter how brutal it is, was absolutely necessary. Not so much last week. BJR is quite different from the character he is in the book. And while we may see some convergence next week, some effort was clearly made to clarify BJR's murky nature. This has long been an issue with Diana. She states flatly that BJR is not a homosexual, rather an equal opportunity sadist. And while she says that, the text of the book just does not support that. It clearly states otherwise. I'm going to hold off on my final opinion on that until next week because the hardest part is still ahead. Then we see the petition of complaint burnt up and Claire's historical footprints gone. They're now lost to Frank. And no matter what happens now, Claire has no proof of her presence in the past. And apparently reverse psychology works every time. So here's a tip. If someone suggests you should alert the authorities, you probably should take them up on that. The moment the acting between BJR and Jamie after he shatters his hand, it's some of the most intense performance of the entire series. The moment when BJR sweeps up Jamie's hair from his neck. It's so tender but so cruel at the same time. And I noticed that when BJR first drives Nail in and it only drives Claire and Jamie closer together, he has a look of such extreme anger and jealousy, and that's why he just pounds the hell of it out of it and drives it all the way in. By the end of the episode, Jamie is finally clearly broken. Sam and Tobias just absolutely extraordinary in this episode. And they went to some seriously dark places. Thank goodness Ellen Mackenzie was so beautiful and wore so much jewelry, or they would all be screwed. I'm going to give this episode 5 kills. I know I gave another one 5 kills. This now is the best episode of the series. Hands down, beautifully written, beautifully acted. The construction of it was perfect. Only a couple of things that, I went back and forth on in regards to changing things from the book. However, it was wonderful. I am worried about next week because we have literally no time left and there's a lot to wrap up. But we will see, and hopefully they will surprise me. Loved it.
Kendra, you brought up a couple of good things, specifically about the character differences between BJR, the book version, BJR, the TV version. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to play this going forward. The other thing you brought up that I really liked that I didn't even notice was how BJR kind of caressed Jamie's hair after the smashing scene. I didn't notice that. And what a great bit of detail there, too, because ultimately, he does care about Jamie in his own really sick way, and I find that fascinating. And then having almost this jealousy of Claire and how the nail does bring them closer together, Claire and Jamie, that is. And in a sense, maybe him driving that nail home is him driving the fact that he is closer to Jamie than Claire will ever be. Because as Mary and I talked about, he created something with Jamie. And whether or not you like it or whether or not you disagree with that, indeed, he did create that with Jamie. And how important is that to him? And BJR now knows Jamie in a way that Claire never can. And listen, I know we've made a lot of random movie references in this episode, and I'm going to make another one. Christopher Nolan put it best in The Dark Knight through the voice of the Joker, Heath Ledger, when he said, listen, you finally know a person best when it comes down to their final moments. You finally find out who they really are. And he says to the guy at the time, so I knew most of your friends better than you did. Would you like me to tell you about them? And I feel like that is what BJR is trying to accomplish with Claire in a little way. And thank you for bringing that idea to light, because they now know each other in a way that Jamie and Claire never can know each other. And I think it's sick, but it's beautiful. It's great storytelling. It's exceptional material for compelling television. And this episode was the most compelling, and I agree with you, the most compelling episode that Outlander has put out so far. And I loved the Garrison Commander. I really did. But now looking at it through the lens of this episode, this one totally, I can't say totally, but it certainly surpasses the Garrison Commander. But now it is time for the tweet of the week. What do you say, kid? Let's do it. This week's tweet of the week is from Primrose Andrews, 16. She says, I half cried because of Outlander and half crying because I forgot to take the mascara off and it stung the crap out of my eyes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So I really like that. I thought that was really funny because later on she says, I wish I were kidding. But so Primrose, thank you for being this week's Tweet of the Week. And as always, you will get a $20 gift card to the Tag You're It Etsy shop. So thank you for being this week's Tweet of the Week.
Woo-hoo! All right, it is time for Blake's Outlandish Theory.
This Outlandish Theory of the Week is brought to you by Scotland's own Walker's Shortbread. So visit them at us.walkersshortbread.com for a taste of Scotland, and be sure to tell them Mary and Blake from Outlander Cast sent you. All right, I got this Outlandish Theory of the Week, and I'm not confident in it, only because I've kind of blown my load on other Outlandish Theories of the Week. So I'm going forth with this, and I need you to bear with me on it, okay? I'm not convinced of this. All right. So we got Claire telling Blackjack Randall that he's going to die. Now, we don't know the date. We don't know the time. But I got to tell you, there's no way Jamie and Claire get out of this without Blackjack Randall dying. There's no way. Maybe there's a way. I can't think of it. I can't find a reason why they would get out of it. Because the letter hasn't gone to the Duke of Sandringham, unless that is just a ploy. Maybe he made a copy. I don't know. So the way that I feel about it is that Blackjack Randall has to die by episode's end for the finale. Either way, though, Claire and Jamie are going to be forced to leave Scotland. They have to, because if they escape, if there is a showdown and they leave, the English government wants Jamie Fraser dead. He has a way, he has a written notice against him to die. So the only way that these two can live is if they leave Scotland altogether.
Where are they going to go?
I don't know. Who knows? I'm just telling you. Maybe, you know what? I bet you they go. Well, I'm sure. I'm not sure.
Okay, so you're just saying they need to go somewhere.
If I had to guess, do you know where? Oh no, that's Italy. My guess is that they would go to maybe Italy, because that's where Bonnie Prince Charlie is right now.
I would hope that they would go to a hospital and fix his hand.
I know, right?
Ouch, Charlie.
So my outlandish theory of the week is that Jack Randall is going to die by episode's end, and Claire and Jamie have to leave Scotland because the English government will be after them. And that is my outlandish theory of the week. What do you think, kid?
I think I am looking away. I am not going to spoil you at all.
Should I already ring the bell? Should I ring the bell?
No, don't ring anything.
I'm not going to ring the bell?
No.
Okay, fine. I won't ring the bell. What do you think, kid? Time to close out?
Yes, it is.
All right, let's close out the show. Well, as we end this show, we wanted to remind you that Outlander Cast is brought to you by the Tag Your It Etsy shop. From Outlander-inspired necklaces and rings to custom designs for birthday, anniversary, or any occasion, really, every piece is created by Dawn, one letter at a time, and is, of course, one of a kind. Please take the time to visit Dawn at www.tagyourit.biz. That's B-I-Z. Tell her Mary and Blake sent you. And use the coupon code OutlanderCast15, all one word, for 15% off of your purchase. As always, my darling, what am I going to say?
Tag your mama, tag your pet, tag your it, whatever it is.
That a girl.
We had a very special review on iTunes that I wanted to shout out to.
Hit me.
My 3KBs said, found some new friends.
Hey now.
Yay! My 3KBs says, just stumbled upon this podcast while waiting for an audiobook to download.
Ooh.
I love the format of TV series only. I am a multiple-time book reader, and especially that Blake is a TV-only guy. Plus, that he's a guy. It's refreshing to get his perspective. No preconceived notions. Just what he sees in the show each week. Mary's constant Harry Potter references endeared her to me immediately.
You're a wizard, Harry.
That was just for you.
I even love the Twilight references. So bad, but still. Each podcast makes you feel like we're all sitting at the neighborhood coffee shop.
Aww.
Keep up the good work. See you next week. So thank you so much, my 3KBs.
Well, oddly enough, that is the idea behind all of this. So, as a reminder, guys, we have the listener feedback episode coming up after this. So, all of your not text messages, you're not texting us, I'm sorry.
You better not be. I don't even have time to text other people back because everyone's saying, have you had the baby?
I know.
Have you had the baby? Have you had No.
Listen, all of your Facebook, all of your Twitter, all of your Instagram, your
and
voicemails, emails, Tumblr, if we even got it. If you send us smoke signals, whatever, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get it on the next episode. Trust me, we are not forgetting you. It will come later on, hopefully after our little lass is born.
Yes, and all of those information can be found at outlandercast.com. So that's our email. As Blake said, you can find us any way, shape, or form there. I hope I have the baby really soon, so then next time you guys hear me, I'll be a new mom of a new baby.
Oh, here's a new idea. I got. Sorry to interrupt. I got an idea.
What?
If you guys have questions for us after you've listened to this episode, send them over. That way we can include that in our listener feedback. And I think I want to make this part of our episodes going forward too. How about we do that? I'm making the executive decision right now. I'm nailing the hammer right now. Here it is.
Ouch.
There it is. Nailing the hammer. From now on, if you guys ever have questions for us about anything, tweet us, Facebook us, Instagram us, email us. You can email us at outlandercast@gmail.com, by the way. Send it over to us, and we'll answer it. We'll talk about it. We'll have fun with it. So, as always, guys, you can find us at the outlandercast.com, where you can check out the Mary and Blake story, and including the famous Sassenach wasted shirt, which I think you still have enough time to get yours in by the time the finale happens. And also check out the Support Us tab, where you can find different ways to support us, whether it's through Patreon or through audible.com or amazon.com or giving iTunes reviews or doing the Mary and Blake story, as a matter of fact. There's all of those different ways to support Outlandercast and Mary and Blake. And trust me, we need it with the new baby.
And no matter what, we're going to be really excited to hear from you.
I can't wait.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Outlander Cast. I'm Mary.
My name's Blake.
And we'll talk to you again soon.